Before we begin, if you want to improve your English by listening to real-life stories that feel uncomfortably real, don't forget to subscribe. Now listen carefully. People love to believe that relationships fall apart because of big moments. A huge fight, a betrayal, someone leaving dramatically. But that's not how it usually starts. Sometimes it starts with a normal evening that looks exactly like every other evening before it. That night, nothing felt special. We had already eaten. The TV was on, but neither of us was really watching it. He was scrolling on his phone, and I was half listening to a show I had seen before. It was quiet in a comfortable way, or at least, I thought it was comfortable. Then he cleared his throat and said my name, not loudly, not urgently, just enough to make me look at him. He asked if he could say something honest without me getting upset. I remember smiling and saying yes immediately. I didn't even pause to think. When you trust someone, honesty feels safe. It feels like a good thing. Then he asked the question, if I cheated, would you forgive me? For a second, my brain froze. I laughed, because that was the only reaction that made sense at the time. People joke about strange things. Couples joke about dark scenarios. I assumed this was one of those moments. I waited for him to smile or explain. He didn't. He stayed quiet, staring at the floor like he was waiting for an exam result. That was when my stomach dropped. I asked him why he would even ask something like that. He shrugged and said he was just curious, just thinking out loud. But curiosity doesn't sound nervous. Curiosity doesn't avoid eye contact. Curiosity doesn't make a room suddenly feel colder. I tried to move on. I told myself not to be dramatic. But once a sentence like that enters your mind, it doesn't leave quietly. It settles in. It repeats itself. Later that night, when we went to bed, he fell asleep quickly. I didn't. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the moment over and over again. I started remembering things I had ignored before. How distant he had been lately. How often he said he was tired. How he used to talk about the future more than he does now. I wondered if I had missed something important. I wondered if that question was a warning disguised as honesty. Or worse, a confession that hadn't fully arrived yet. By the time the sun came up, I was exhausted. Not from lack of sleep, but from too many thoughts. And I knew something had changed, even though nothing had technically happened yet. The days after that question were strangely quiet. Not in a peaceful way, but in a way that made me feel like I was constantly listening for something that never came. He acted normal, too normal. He still said good morning. He still asked how my day was. But everything felt slightly rehearsed, like we were both following a script we hadn't agreed on. I started paying attention to details I had never noticed before. The way he checked his phone when he thought I wasn't looking. The way he paused before answering simple questions. The way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. I told myself I was imagining things. I didn't want to become suspicious. I didn't want to turn into someone who searched for problems just to prove they were right. But doubt has a way of growing quietly. One evening, we were sitting together again, almost in the exact same place where he had asked that question. His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and immediately turned it face down. The movement was quick, almost automatic. I felt something tighten in my chest. I didn't ask who it was. I didn't say anything at all. Instead, I smiled and kept talking about my day, pretending I hadn't noticed. That was the moment I realized how fragile trust really is. It doesn't disappear with a loud sound. It fades while you're trying to protect it. That night, I replayed every recent interaction in my head. I wondered if he was hiding something, or if he was simply dealing with something he didn't know how to explain. The uncertainty was exhausting. I wanted clarity, but I was afraid of what clarity might bring. I missed the version of our relationship where silence didn't feel threatening, where questions didn't feel dangerous. Over time, I began to understand that waiting for answers can hurt more than hearing the truth. And the longer I waited, the heavier everything became. I finally asked, not because I was brave, but because I was tired. Tired of guessing, tired of overthinking, tired of pretending everything was fine. We were standing in the kitchen, the room filled with that uncomfortable silence I had grown used to. I asked him if there was something he wanted to tell me. He didn't answer immediately. He leaned against the counter, closed his eyes for a moment, and took a deep breath. That pause told me everything before he even spoke. He said he hadn't cheated. He said there was no other woman. And for a second, I felt relief wash over me. But then he continued. He said he had been questioning us, Not because I wasn't enough, but because he didn't recognize himself anymore. He said he felt lost, unsure of what he wanted, unsure of who he was becoming. He admitted that asking me if I trusted him wasn't about my trust at all. It was about his guilt for feeling uncertain while pretending to be certain. That hurt in a way I hadn't expected, because you can't fight doubt the same way you fight betrayal. I realized then that love doesn't always end with someone leaving. Sometimes it ends with someone staying while their heart slowly moves away. We talked for hours that night. There were tears, long pauses, and moments where neither of us knew what to say. In the end, there was no dramatic breakup, no clear ending, just an understanding that some questions don't have clean answers. When I went to bed that night, I understood something important. Trust isn't just about believing someone won't hurt you. It's about believing you'll survive even if they do. And that realization changed me more than any confession ever could.